energy of our food. It breaks down the proteins. It breaks it down to the point where it can provide into the cell the nutrients it needs to. Number one, and most important, number one, to keep the deoxynucleic acid chain, the very imprint of our identity.
Hello?
Chains. Hello?
Oh, I lost you for a moment there.
Oh, I'm sorry. It happens. It's really important to understand that without proper hydrogen ions, we are at extremely high risk of cancer, which is a mutation of your deoxynucleic acid chains. Cancer is, first and foremost, a symptom of chronic dehydration, folks. That's as simple as I can get it. You've got groundbreaking work of nutritionists and research chemists such as Otto Warburg and others showing the ratio of pH at cellular levels, acid versus alkaline ratios. It all has to do with hydration factors. Just simply that. And so as we fight this battle, Dr. Dean, with trying to educate people about the importance of proper hydration, it's really quite simple, but there's so many disinformation shills and agents of big pharma out there. Who benefits if people are dehydrated and chronically ill? What cash registers are run if people are chronically ill?
That's right, and we have to get this clean water somehow. The water is meant to wash things away. The minerals don't come from food like it used to, and depleted food, depleted soil. And we need to support the uptake of these minerals and in other forms. So to meet the demand of your so-called input-output of life, we have to realize what the water portion or the water part, it should be in every household, the best filter possible, because herein lies where the body takes energy to make it absorbable in an organic form. You can't get nutrients unless you have clean water before it is taken up by the cell. So we can go into details about how we can make that happen. Deionizing the water, distilling the water, emptying the minerals of water, and spinning it and fusing with oxygen is one technique. Very powerful because you can charge it after it's been distilled. But we have to supplement it with organic minerals. And the source of these things is not widely known. I mean, you're not getting it from the media. And I'm telling it to all my patients, if they're not getting hydrated on the core level, 1950s Pulitzer Peace Prize-winning research talked about how cancer cannot live in an oxygen-rich environment. And where does that come from? It comes from water. It comes from water and our ability to get oxygen in the cell to create a respiration, if you will, of the cells. And that respiration is the exchange of gases and water. In other words, the body goes through a process of its own filtering water and accepting it or refusing it. So if the water has chlorine in it, has fluoride in it, petrochemicals, as it does in the case of those poor people in the Gulf disaster, oh my gosh. But the body won't want that to hydrate this body fluid and, in other words, reject it.
The hydrogen ion, Dr. Dean, as you know, we can. This is something we can actually discuss 2 hours every day for 2 weeks, and we still wouldn't even, scratch the surface of the science behind this. But we're just trying to give you a Reader's Digest condensed version to the listeners today. The hydrogen ion, is 97% of everything on this planet, and folks, if there's no water on a planet, there is no life. As the Hubble telescope and other unmanned spy satellites go out and search the entire universe for signs of life, what they're looking for is water. water in the form of oxygen bound with hydrogen ions, because that's the building block of life. In Genesis we read that the Creator separated the land from the water. Water was created first and foremost. It's the very basic building block. And until we understand as human beings the importance of consuming water, correct water, I submit we really are going to have a population of lemmings, of sheeple, that really can't even think in complex terms that are really quite simple terms, Dr. Dean. They're cognitive reasoning centers of their brain. If you're chronically 1%, just 1% lacking in hydrogen, it's been proven that your brain is not going to function correctly.
You remember that work of Dr. Flanagan? How he could generate a hydrogen pool it was in the category at the time of anti-aging. This is back in the 80s. But realized that one of the things he was saying, that the movie stars would look so young, and then all of a sudden, a year or two goes by, and all of a sudden, wham, they look like they've aged 10 years. And one of the biggest issues there is that these people were holding their water in the cells better, longer, and then their hydrogen pool was depleted, and boom, they just aged dramatically. And you could see that. And I use movie stars not to pick on them, but it's something that people can attach to or relate to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's just some simple formulas. If you're listening to this, Dr. Dean, do you want to give out your contact information right off the top? How can people get a hold of you?
Right. I've been doing hydrotherapy as long as I've been in practice. We're talking, over 22 years of doing detoxification therapies, and there's a lot to be said about appropriate detoxification therapies. There's a lot of fakey science out there about what that means. So as long as there is a clear understanding of the role of water, you can talk seriously about the other stuff. But until you resolve this piece, we talk about what's called a saturation technique and the oxidation part, where you include the oxygen, the electrolytes, your exercise, the water itself, the nutrition base, and your state of mind. And if you want to go to a video of a kind of therapy that I offer, there's a website. My book is at www.acutone.com, and if you want to go to a little 3-minute movie, it's that address, www.acutone.com/aerobic, AEROBIC, SPA, SPA. And there's a little arrow you just click on, and it shows you a 3D version of what takes place in a kind of hydrotherapy where the water is infused with ozone and you sweat out the toxins. Very effective. Don't want to spend too much time into going through all the science, but basically when you create this exchange of oxygen in the cells, everything you breathe out has got to be combined with a singulate of oxygen, carbon dioxide, right? Everything that comes out of your body. So if you don't have enough oxygen to create the exchange of these substances, then you're harboring them, right? They're being kept in. Those race car drivers that are breathing in carbon monoxide, the only thing that can get the carbon monoxide out of them is oxygen, and in high concentrations. So some of them will go through hyperbaric chambers, and burn victims, very, very useful for burn victims. This particular therapy in hydrotherapy, aerobic hydrotherapy, is extremely effective because it promotes circulation. It's one of the things that I do. But we have to also remember that if you're not hydrating, in the case of getting water in the cells and that exchange that doesn't take place, then no detoxification can occur. So very, very important. And you should be, those that are just learning this, you should be advised by someone who has experience with detoxification so they know where they're heading. You can do it too fast. The water piece is the foundation. But people will, they'll fast but not be informed about how to fast and cause harm to themselves because they're not keeping in check things like their glucose levels. They're detoxifying too fast. They dump too much in the liver, and so on. I mean, these are just some details. But we have to be directed, and that's where people that are qualified to do some detoxification with these techniques know that the water piece, they are always using purified water, and Drew and I will go over some details on how you can do that.
All right, very good. Is there a telephone number that you could that people could call?
Absolutely. I have two clinics, and the best way to get a hold of me is by my pager number, which is 719-560-7501. And that's, you just put your number in and press pound, and then you'll be able to get in contact with me. I also have two clinics, but not knowing what clinic I'm at, it's better just to put the page in, and then I call you back.
We're going to give you some very specific things to go proactively with. No matter where you're at, folks, you can take advantage of some very simple things to no longer guess. We're going to give you some solid ideas and answers when we come back after these messages. Get a pen and paste. Get your pen and paper ready. You're not going to want to miss the next half an hour. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away. And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to today's Story Behind the Story. It is the ninth day of March, and March is just rapidly going by the wayside as well. I'm your host, Dr. A. Truatt, joining me today from the beautiful state of Colorado, Dr. Dean Lloyd. Okay, I said before the break that you should get a pen or pencil and paper ready because, indeed, there's just one simple little tool, folks, that will take all the guesswork out of determining if your water is good or even safe, okay? To measure for total dissolved solids, there's a little machine. It's about as big as a pen. It comes in its own handy case. You can put it in your purse, ladies. You can put it in your pocket, gentlemen, and carry it around with you. You know, looking at a glass of water, most people just drink what's put in front of them in a restaurant. It's very tough to tell just by looking at water or even smelling it, to tell if this water is really truly hydrating. There's a little simple tool called a TDS, total dissolved solid TDS meter. They're very inexpensive, for around $35. You can take the guesswork out of this, and there's nothing more important than determining by a simple little 3-second test how good or how bad the water you consume is. So, Dr. Dean, let me just tell people that they can get these meters from either yourself or myself. My company sells them. You can get them through you, I'm sure, as well. Your pager number, 719-560-7501.
I didn't give out my email. I could do that right now, too, if you want.
Sure, give it your email.
It's easy. It's the same as my website. It's Accutone, ACUTONE, @Accutone.com. So one word says it all. It says my book, it says my website, and my email address.
So Accutone is spelled ACUTONE.com.
Yes, and Accutone @Accutone.com.
Okay. Here's my personal business line, ladies and gentlemen, as well. It's 866-989-9876. Get yourself, if you're listening to this for the first time and this is all new to you, I cannot emphasize strongly enough, just invest $35 or so. Get yourself It doesn't matter if you get it from us. I don't care where you get it from. Get yourself a total dissolved solid TDS meter. Take the guesswork out of things. Don't become a statistic. More and more people are finding themselves chronically ill, lack of energy. They're just drawn down. They can't seem to get rid of a cold or a bronchial infection or a sinus infection. You got to start by, first of all, knowing what you're putting in your body. Our groundwater is worse